Hi, my name's Harry Hemsley. I live at Abram in Wigan. I'm 71 years of age. I'd like to tell you some of my story. It's a bit of an unusual story, a bad start, but a good finish. I was born in Scotland in 1949, a place called Glasgow. Somewhere along the line, I was left on a doorstep. So my early years, I was in orphanages and or children's homes, they call them. There are no memories in an orphanage. Your mind switches off, so you've no memories of anything that happened. And my first memories are being dropped off at a foster home, about 5 years of age, and thinking, wow, Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom at Chorley, two girls. I thought, wow, I found something really happy. I found a home. And the next thing, you're snatched away. It was short-term fostering. No explanation. I was dropped off at a couple in Standish, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, and they had two girls, Rosalind and Sheila, and that was supposed to be for just a couple of weeks. It happened I stayed till I was 21. My foster mother had 6 children altogether, so I grew up with a big family. And I was brought up at Standish, which was a lovely place to be brought up in. The people were nice, friendly. At first, as a young child, there was a lot of issues with bedwetting and the trauma that you went through. And you sometimes were just told you're going to see your mother, no explanation. And that was quite often hard times. That increased bedwetting because she would see you and then she might disappear for 2 years. You'd go and then sometimes 3 years, even 5 years. You'd never see her again. So they were difficult days, but I would say from the years of 8 to 13, there were happy times, good environment, a field to play on, good friends in the street, lovely area, loved football and rugby and all these sports I loved. But as we come to teenage years, fostering became an issue with some people, some bullies. And it started causing issues in my life. And also, out of one of the foster sisters, Sheila, the first one, Rosalind's always loved me, always, still does. Sheila had an issue, and when there were arguments, you're from a foster home, you should get out, you don't belong here. And these caused emotional problems were building up. And then alongside the bullies, at school, you're from a foster home, you got nits. And when one lad said that in class, I just turned around and smacked him in the face. And then one year, your whole year is watching a film. I don't know if you can imagine the situation. And all of your peers, and somebody shouts out, Harry Hemsley from a foster home doesn't have a bath. If I could have got hold of that person, I'd have flattened them out, so furious and humiliated. Then one of the bullies started in a corridor, and he pressed that button about being fostered. I flew back with my fist and I drove him back. And in the only way I knew how was fighting, which was to set up problems for later on in life, unfortunately. At 13, I sat on the bank of a small lake in Standish that the pits had, thinking life wasn't worth living. I'd had some good ideas for stealing, but it was one of her own daughters that had done the stealing and then told my foster mum I'd done it. She'd just an issue, that's all. And while on that bank that day, thinking life wasn't worth living after having quite a brutal good hiding, I thought, you should end my life. There was a song in the 60s called Nobody's Child. And that day, a clear voice spoke and said, no, Harry, there's something better. And a couple of minutes later, my foster sister, Rosalind, turned up at that exact spot where I was, said, Harry, come home. God intervened in my life. I could offer God nothing, and yet he intervened in my life. Going through teenage years, and there were some dark times with what was going on in my life, but a lot of happy times. Generally, I was a happy kid with some bad experiences. I started working on the buses when I was 18, and that was an adventure in itself. I also had 3 dreams as a child: fireman, policeman soldier. I was in the auxiliary fire service, but they disbanded that. I did 2 years in the special constabulary. Then the highlight was the army, 2 years in the territorial army. I'll come back to that later on. But during that time, I met Kathleen, a lovely girl. Kathleen was fit and could run faster than me. We got married, but just by that time, Kath had an accident that was to change the whole course of our life. I was at this time drinking, fighting, I had a foul temper, and I feel sorry for Kath for what I put her through in those early days. It wasn't nice for her, and I went through some dark times emotionally. I'd found my father. I didn't know where I was born until I was 15 when I first saw my birth certificate. I found out a middle name called Royals, and I determined to find this man, only to find out that when I met him, he